Yes, well, hello, and welcome. This is Her Talk Show. My name is Sabrina Victoria, and I am here with Camille Miller. So super excited. We're going to be talking about soul-driven success. This is actually perfect because in our mastermind this morning, or in my mastermind this morning, we were talking about profit. And one of the things that came up was how do you stay aligned with your soul, a soul-driven corporation, and still make money. So I'm super excited about this. We're going to be diving deep into all the realms. So get comfortable as we explore the triumphs and the challenges faced by women worldwide. We're going to be given insights. We're going to be given inspiration faced by women worldwide for personal and professional growth. Let's jump in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
If you are listening live, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love in the comments. We are here every day delving deep into the realms of health, wealth, and leadership with some of the most brilliant women globally. We have interviewed over 600 women, and today we are adding another one to the list. We have Camille. She is a transformational leader and celebrated influencer in the field of entrepreneurship. Her mission is simple: to inspire and support others and bringing their gifts to the world. She offers highly individualized mentoring and assistance in all aspects of business, from planning and strategy to marketing and innovation. A thought leader in soul-aligned entrepreneurship, she empowers mission-driven leaders to build impactful, purpose-driven businesses. Camille is also the best-selling author of 3 books and the visionary behind the Soul Professional Movement, dedicated to elevating conscious business practices and guiding entrepreneurs to greater fulfillment and success. Lady, welcome.
Thank you. Woo, woo, woo. Thanks for having me, Sabrina.
Yes, so excited to be here and to be hanging out with you. Girl, this is a real issue.
Which one? The first one you brought up with
Like-
the profit?
Feel like women feeling like they are changing the world.
Yeah.
Still like aligned, heart-centered, but then making money.
So my answer to that is, if you don't create wealth, you can't create impact, right? Our dollars matter, right? And we can help more people when we're making the money, because we can choose to give scholarships for our own stuff. We can choose to donate it somewhere. We can choose to help people. We can create family foundations if it's generational. Like, you have to create wealth to make a difference, I think. I mean, there's lots of ways to make a difference. That's not the only way, but creating wealth allows you all this more, ways to grace people with your blessings. That's what
100%.
I think. So, yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that this was a big issue for me when I was first getting started. I was actually in the world of narcissistic abuse, narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest issues was like, it was pulling in my heartstrings, because it was like my story and me wanting to like help others who have endured or who are enduring the same situation that I was in. And I just wanted to give everything away for free. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just want to help everybody. And the thing is the giving part, right? Wanting to help, and not feeling comfortable asking for money led me to being broke.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So you're hurting yourself. And a lot of that happened, I saw, during the pandemic. And that's when I started my own podcast called 6 Figure Souls, doing good and making money. Because a lot of people wanted to do good and give out all of their gifts in the world, but not charge for it. Or they felt badly, especially if it's holistic or spiritually based gift. And they say, God gave me, or spirit, universe, whatever you call it, gave me these gifts. Why should I charge other people? But I don't think a gift in the world is any different than an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer, right? They've studied to do whatever they do in the world, and they're bringing their gifts to the world. And trust me, There's no brain surgeon that's going, hey, let me do this for free. Let me just help you out. I'll just help out all my friends. You know what I mean? Like, you are uniquely gifted at whatever it is in the world. And you need to be empowered by that and just like, yeah, people pay for my gifts and that's okay. And I think you can still help others, right? My mission is to help others bring their gifts to the world, right? And I did struggle as I started to grow and more people wanted my time with charging more and more money. But now if I don't charge a lot of money, I'm just, my accountability card is called leaking my energy all over the place, right? So I'm really not helping. I'm just muddying the waters, right? So I do a free webinar and I put my stuff out and I help people that way. And anyone can show up. Anyone can go see it on YouTube, right? I'm still helping. I'm still on my mission to help other people bring their gifts to the world. But when they're ready to step up their game and play in the big leagues, then they can pay for my services. So I do give in other ways, right? But I'm not leaking my energy all over the place. I know who I am and I know what I'm worth. And I think every single one of us has to know our worth to be able to really make impact, right? That's how you're really leaving your legacy, as I say, right? You
Absolutely.
have to step up and own it.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you predominantly, when you're speaking, are you predominantly speaking to men, women? Who do you predominantly speak to?
Yeah, so it's like it's becoming like 70-30. It was like 80-20. I speak to feminine energy, right? The gender of that person doesn't matter as much. It's really people that are in touch with their soulful side and people that want to come out and be authentic, who want to live their truth, who want the boundless freedom and the flow without the grind. And there's a lot of us, right? It is predominantly women that I see in a lot of my programs, in my own masterminds, but my memberships are usually like, I'd say 70-30 to 80-20, depends on the year. And but I feel like more and more people are moving into this paradigm.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So I work with both.
As far as business practices, right? There's a large framework that we could be talking about there. I know that you lean more on the authentic side.
Absolutely.
What does that mean as far as authentic business practices versus just like everybody else in the world?
Yeah. So you're showing up exactly who you are. If you swear in business too, right? If you're an introvert, you don't pretend you're an extrovert, right? Because then you're going to get people that are extroverts that don't align with you, right? If something's happening in your life, share your actual story. Like, talk about what's happening, like be authentic.
I really like this. I know that I had a big issue with this when I was first starting on social media. And I think a lot of people have this issue just ongoing. But I had developed this persona of like everything being absolutely perfect as far as like how I looked. My hair was perfect. My makeup was perfect. My outfit was perfect. And it kept me from showing up on social media because I very rarely look like that. Yeah. So I had to do this whole extensive thing before I would be ready for the camera. And then there would be times when something really brilliant would happen or something really exciting would happen, or I'd want to talk about it or a brilliant idea or whatever it was. But because I wasn't all made up, I wasn't able to present the thing. And then the thing wouldn't get written down and then it would just kind of fly by the wayside. Yeah. So I like what you're saying here as far as like when you're showing up authentic, then that allows you to be able to show up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And be truthful. Like, you don't have to pretend or make up a story or be someone you're not. And I say a lot of times people are like, oh, I hate social media. I hate this. I hate that. And I'm like, okay, well, what parts do you like? Right. You don't have, in my opinion, you don't have to be on a content schedule. If you really hate it that much, then you're creating content that people don't really care about, right? You're just creating to create. You're not creating from a place of authenticity, right? But if you have a story and something that happens, and in that moment, write about it, put it out, post it. Like, I literally create posts as they come to my head. And I'll be like, right now I'm thinking about, like I'm creating a mastermind, right? For this next year. And as I'm thinking it through, themes come to me, right? Like, what does it mean to be a conscious leader? And then I might write a post about it. Like, this is what it means to me. Someone asked me to create a class on soulful sales, right? And then I'm like, well, let's talk about what is soulful sales? What does that mean, right? And then I created posts about that because I'm living it and people are asking. I didn't make it 2 months ago and it's still running. You know what I mean? So I have this more like, this is who I am in the moment. I only post in one place, or I'll copy the posts. I do a lot on LinkedIn, and then maybe I'll copy it to Facebook because I don't really find people on my Facebook page. That's usually not where my people are. So it's just living your truth, being you. And in my classes, if anyone's ever been to my master class, I tell people I am struggling with this right now, and this is how I'm trying to figure it out. Right. Or when I scaled, here's are some huge mistakes I made. Like my second book is a list of mistakes I made. Right. Just, I had to come out of this. Right. Because I'm sharing my truth. It's my truth. I don't have to hide who I am or who I've been or, what I struggle with. And I think just being honest with other people, people know that I'm not perfect, right? If you're working with me, I'm going to say, yeah, I struggled with that too. Here's what I've learned. Do I have all the answers? Not always, but I can help guide you, right? I don't pretend in any way. I tell client stories. I can say, hey, this is what I've done. And I think that's being authentic. That's being truthful, right? Just sharing, hey, I had a client and this is what happened, right? I share client testimonials. So that's what I mean when it's being authentic. That's authentic. That's soulful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm reading this book right now, .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. I'm sure you've heard of Russell Brunson before. Anyways, he talks about this, which it sounds like you might already know, but he talks about the identity of an attractive character. And he has 4 characters that he talks about: the leader, the adventurer or crusader, the reporter or evangelist, and the reluctant hero. Mm-hmm. So what you're talking about right there, as far as someone who's very authentic and kind of like learning while they're teaching, which is very much the way I teach also, is the adventurer crusader. It says the adventurer is usually someone who is very curious, but he doesn't always have all the answers. So he sets out on a journey to discover the ultimate truth and then brings his audience with him.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like tell my story along the way, but if you're working with me or in one of my pods or something, then you're learning as I go.
Yeah.
Right. I'll be like, yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. It'll come out in 2025, but I've literally when I launched my business accelerator, in May, I literally was on a masterclass call. This just popped in my head. And I was like, anyone want to beta test something with me? Right. Like I thought I want to test this accelerator class and actually teach what I teach in university, a whole business curriculum, but I need different people to come in and mentor and make sure the program works. And people came in and they tested it with me. And I literally wrote the class as they were in it week by week. I was like, let's say it's going to take about 14 weeks. And if it takes more, that's on me. They all invested in it. But that became like really my signature class now. And I've learned a lot. And each time I teach it, I get better. And that's just part of it. And I share that with people as I go. Like, hey, the first time I did it, I learned that this didn't work. So now I'm doing it this way, and just being truthful. And I think it also shows, as a business advisor, it shows that we don't all have the answers all the time. But a lot of times I say, let's just jump and we'll build wings along the way. We'll figure it out. And the real entrepreneur part of it is tweaking things as they go, changing markets, pivoting. That's entrepreneurship, not giving yourself the same job over and over and over again.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we have to get out of the rut of, because so many of us come from corporate and you literally do the same thing over and over and over again. There is no chance for it really evolving or pivoting, or you can move up. Right. But that's really it. Then you just learn a new set of skills that you just repeat over and over and over again.
Correct.
But entrepreneurship is a true journey of constant evolution, constant creativity, constant brilliance, constant chaos.
Yeah, if you're a true entrepreneur. There's a lot of people that are running businesses
Yeah.
and they're in the day-to-day. Those are not entrepreneurs, really.
Yeah,
Like,
I
we
agree.
call them entrepreneurs, but they're really business owners. They gave
Business
themselves a
owners.
job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. There
They're
is a
not
difference.
really visionaries that are
Yeah.
trying to say, you know, how do I step out of this? How do I create more? How do I build on this truth?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I've been asked that before, like with my community. Why do you always say business owners and entrepreneurs? And I'm like, because they're two totally separate things. They're absolutely nothing to do with each other. Um, People don't always understand that. And I think that is a key also, is like, which one are you?
Yeah.
Is really important because you could be being taught by myself, who's more of an entrepreneur mindset. And if you're a business owner, what I say may not always reside with you because your mindset's different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that you still can't be taught the things that are being taught, but the vision, the
Exactly.
long term is going to be different. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I think our
So
visions are bigger for entrepreneurs.
absolutely a lot bigger.
Yeah. And I don't think they end,
Yeah,
right?
they don't
It's
end.
just like, my people always know they're meant for bigger things.
Yeah.
Like, but you have to leave behind things to
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
I talk to my dad about this sometimes. He's just like, this sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I have friends who are like, you're always creating. And I was like, you don't understand. I love this stuff.
I
Like, this
know.
is what I love. It's not that I'm always working. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, in my spare time, I just
Yeah.
read books and study, but I have studied success for decades, like since my 20s. So like
Yeah.
since I was, 30 something years, I've just been studying other models that work because I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this curriculum that you were talking about, is this the Soul Professional Business School or is this
Yes.
in the Soul? Oh,
Yeah, this is
that is
part
what-
of the Soul Professional Business School. It was actually the first class I've launched in it. When we started it, when I really just piloted the whole school, and I'm like, let's start with basic business fundamentals. The business accelerator is really the beginning steps. It's your mission, your vision. How do we find your unique value proposition? We spent 3 weeks just figuring out what makes you uniquely you, right?
Got
So
it.
we can bring that to market, right? And then your pricing, your packages, your branding, your messaging, your client mapping, your flow, your like every single thing. You come out with a complete branding guide and strategy, a complete business strategy. But the idea of it is, as an entrepreneur, not a business owner, you can turn it on or you can turn it back. Like, if you want to start vacationing over the summer, you can turn it back and know how that will relate to every other part of your business. And then if you want more money or to double, you can turn it back on, right? And go. So it's really the basic building blocks of entrepreneurial success.
Love it.
And
So as far as your story goes, before the Soul Professional Business School was created, were you in the world of entrepreneurship? Did you come from corporate? What's kind of like your backstory as to how or why the Soul Professional Business School was even created?
yeah. So, well, the school was created because I was an adjunct teacher. I taught MBA students global business strategy at a local university. And it was in that role that I was like, I think we're really missing the boat here. We teach people 5 million and above in product and innovation. And I couldn't find any school, because I did a search about who teaches service individuals with global markets, because that's what's happening now. That's who I usually work with, right? How to bring their service out into the world and be an entrepreneur as, a doctor, a scientist, an engineer, a lawyer, a CPA. Like, it's always just thought that you're going to go work for someone else, right? But why? Why do we do that? Right? Why don't we have these innovation centers in service or other things that you can bring to the world? And that's really my specialty. So I was like, you know what? I'm never going to convince a university to do this. And look at what I call micro entrepreneur. It's someone that makes less than $5 million, right? Less than $5 million. They don't have a place to go and to learn. And the world is changing day by day with these global markets, right? And AI and VAs that can be all over the world, the laptop entrepreneur that are nomads, right? That has to be addressed in business school. So that's what started to create that. I felt like there was just this big gap in the world. So I created. That's where the business school came from. My company, the Natural Life Business Partnership, that is the umbrella company of the Soul Professional Movement and all of my products. That started 10 years ago because I was actually the CEO of an organic farming association. And it was in that role that I saw all these spiritually based people, grounded people, logically brained. So some were on Wall Street, some were farmers, like these different people that ate cleanly, cared about their environment, cared about what happened in the world, that they just wanted to make the world a better place. And they had some great, unique business opportunities just based on who they were as people or their past. And I thought it was really cool just to kind of blend those worlds. So that job was defunded. That's when you work for a nonprofit, things can be defunded in any moment. So my job was defunded in 2015. And I found myself kind of searching for, okay, what's next in life? And although I got a lot of offers to do things, I realized in that moment that money was no longer my motivator. And it had been for many, many years. But I was in a place where I was making such a difference in the world that I wanted to keep doing that. And that's when I'm very intuitive, but I kind of just had this download of, this is what you're supposed to do next. You're supposed to help the world bring their gifts to the world, right? Help everyone else. How do they make business plans? How do they dovetail this science and soul kind of brains? And that's where I really specialize in the logically brained, but soul led. Right. So a lot of my people come out of corporate or are in these major positions and they're like, okay, this doesn't make my heart sing. Where do I go from here? So sometimes I'm hired as a thought partner, sometimes a business designer, sometimes a mentor.
Wow. That's great. What a great story.
Thank you.
Come a long ways.
Yeah, I have. Thank you.
Like I could envision that on a timeline of some sort.
Yeah. I mean, before I took that last job as CEO, I actually wrote a business plan as a strategic advice. So I did strategic work for a long time. Like for a decade before that, I was doing strategic consulting for nonprofits because that was my whole background was nonprofits. And I had done one for a special needs school in a town that I worked in. I wasn't in the world anymore. I was just doing strategic stuff. And they're like, oh, can you just help out? And I was like, I like the school. So I helped out. And then they're like, okay, but we don't know how to implement the plan now that you did it. So I came back and I helped them implement the plan. And it was that board that told a person on the other board when they were looking for a CEO that maybe I would consider interviewing for it. So it was really interesting because I had no background in agriculture whatsoever. And this was a deep agricultural, but it was unanimous and I got chosen and I had to learn really quickly a lot, but it was fun and it was great. It wasn't my forever, but it was really a stepping stone to what I do today. Yeah. Because I met all these people and saw this big gap in the world of, oh my gosh, people have so many gifts. We just have to get them out there.
Yeah. That's the best.
Yeah.
Is using our past experiences and then letting that be a kind of like a stepping stone or a sounding block into whatever we're going to do next.
Right.
It's a great thing. So many times we say that we're starting over, like, oh, I quit this and then I had to start all over again. But it's like there's so many things that we're bringing to the table.
Oh, yeah.
As we're evolving.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't realize that until you've been in entrepreneurship for a while. And then you're like, oh, damn, I'm using so much. But in corporate, it's kind of hard to see that. It's kind of hard to recognize that I'm taking some of my traits from the past and putting up into the future. I want to talk really briefly. You kind of mentioned in the business soul professional business school, the curriculum and how you kind of start from the basics. There's so many individuals in corporate. I talk to women all the time because entrepreneurship comes up because I'm just constantly vibing. I'm just vibing just everything I do. And people jump on the train. They're just like, enthused by the creativity and the brilliance that I'm constantly talking about. And they're just like, dude, this is like addicting. I could see why you do what you do. And this whole thought of like, I have all these dreams, I have all these desires, but like, it's scary. I don't know what I would do. I don't know how to leave. I don't even know where to get started. There's so much. And there is so much. And when I launched, I had no idea what I was doing. I was floundering all over the place. I always thought the very next thing that I was going to do was going to be the thing that got me to 6 figures. I'm like, oh yeah. I figured this out. Once I do this, 6 figures, and then like not 6 figures. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, let me just implement this one more thing. And then 6 figures. And then like not fucking 6 figures. So
we all do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to just talk briefly to those. By the way, we have a ton of people watching live. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. But I'm certain that there are quite a few individuals here that are working. Maybe they're working right now. Maybe they're on their lunch break right now. And what is the first step? Like, obviously, don't just leave.
No, you need to have a plan. So many times, in fact, I have 4 clients right now that I'm helping with exit plans.
I love that.
You know, that as we build this new life, we have milestones of letting this old life go. Right. And usually, you know, they're working for someone else. You know, in October, we get a lot of people from the school systems that are like, June, that's it. I'm saying goodbye in June. Right. So that happens a lot. I have a CEO of a corporation I'm working with now. So I have a number of people that I work with, and we have to work on exit plans and milestones along the way. So it kind of goes like this. So you're not just jumping. You know, some people have nice packages and everything, and we can incorporate that in. But if you don't have a plan to get back up to that salary or knowing what you need to bring in, that's when it starts to crash. And then people go, oh my God, I'll just go get another job. You know, and that's not what we want.
That's what we see all the time is they just leave. They're like, oh yeah, I've got 10 grand savings. I'm good. It's like, dude, no, it's not gonna work. Close. And then they do, they throw a bunch of time, a bunch of effort into this. They're floundering around, they're in lack. And then they end up having to go back to corporate.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's having a plan. It's identifying your unique strategy. This is a business accelerator right now. I actually started teaching a night class because we had so many people with full-time jobs, which is really exciting. So now with those people, I actually work on exit plans. So they have a plan along the way as they're building this new one. So if that's needed, we do that as well, because I meet with them individually, make sure they're applying what I'm teaching. Yeah, so I don't recommend the big leap, but to have a plan of how you're working into that leap, with a good strategy. Like there's a billion things I can say about this, but yeah, you should have some type of strategy and know where you're going. And sometimes it just takes a thought partner, and that's, I'm hired as a thought partner. Just what are you really good at? What do you see your life? And I always start with, if you won the lottery today, what would tomorrow look like? Right?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That was actually the question that led me to leave one of my exes, was that question.
I mean, that's a good question just in general. Like,
yeah, they actually asked me, they were like, what would you do? There was like a billboard when we were driving down the road, and he was like, what would you do if you won that amount of money right there? And the first thing that came to my head was, I'd leave your ass.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn good indication.
But to what you're talking about,
yeah.
But to what you're talking about, what would you actually be doing with your life? Like, what would you want to be doing?
Yeah.
Would you be playing guitar? Would you be knitting? Would you be gardening? Would you be doing yoga? Yeah.
Yeah. So that in that answer is probably embedded what your entrepreneurship should be around.
I love
that. That is your uniqueness. That is what you should be doing. And people are going, well, I can't make money doing that. Well, that's a limiting belief right there. Like, who told you that? Right? Life tells you that. People tell you that, but is it really true? There's people doing pretty amazing stuff that you'd never thought they'd make millions of dollars in, and they are.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's really the difference. Like, I am literally in my passion And if I won the lottery, I would still be doing
Yeah.
this. Like, like
I
I
say the same
just
thing.
love it. My friends are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, because I literally love what I do. It's not just like,
Yeah.
right? I love it because to me, it's putting together puzzles. Like I literally design businesses. I don't run them. I just design them. If it doesn't work, let me figure out what's not working.
Yeah.
Right. I've always been kind of that fixer designer and, sit with it. Does it feel good to you? How does it work? Let's check back in. If it doesn't feel good, let's stop doing it. Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would do
Do
this.
you
But my
normally
father told me that.
do you
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, your father. Your
I was
father.
gonna say my father told me that when I was a kid. Like if he won the lottery, he would still do what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, gotcha. That's how you know that you're in your passion.
Yeah. Absolutely. Same.
Yeah.
Same, all the way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. If
When
you're
you
saying I'll quit
say
my job, that's you need to figure out your next step.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I think, like, people will say, like, "Oh, I can't wait till I retire, and then I'm gonna lay by the beach." That just sounds awful to me.
Oh,
Like, I just and
yeah.
people don't understand it, and
Yeah.
I'm almost like, "Is there something wrong with me that I
No.
just don't find any joy in that?" Like, for a half a day, maybe,
Yeah.
but, like, dude, I just cannot. I
Yeah.
just cannot, and work is not work to me. That was one of the biggest complaints, of just individuals in my life. It's just like, "What do you like, always working?" I'm like, "This is not even work." Like, you don't even understand. It's not like, we call it work, but it's
Yes.
not work. I'm, like, building a fucking empire. I'm building a vision, and not
Yes.
for me, for, like, us, and that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's how I feel. Like I'm building an empire so I could leave my legacy, but also like I want a family foundation so I can do good things in the world. Like
Yeah.
that's my goal, and I got to make a lot of money to do that.
Yes! Same,
So yeah,
girl, same. So
yeah.
I wanna talk to you really fast about you said, you design businesses, you don't run businesses. Is this you talking about your own business, or is this you talking about what you do for other people? What do you mean by
Well,
that?
for other people, I design businesses. I don't like running businesses. I knew that my passion was in designing them, not managing them or running them.
Got it.
So when I designed what I do for life, right? I literally went through the same process that I take clients through. Like, what do I like? What do I don't like? What's my non-negotiables? Like thinking through what do I want to do? What do I want to wake up and do every day? But I'm in this phase now where I'm taking this like major leap, like major up level and going to this next level. So I have to remember I hate running businesses, right? And as I get bigger, I have to watch a lot of stuff. But I just hired a full-time business manager and just said, I'm giving all of this to you. You get 80% of my work. I'm keeping the 20% that I love, and I'm going to keep going, right? This is you run this now. We'll check in once a week. This is all on you. But I'm a big visionary, right? I can keep going and keep building. And that's where the school comes in, right? The school isn't going to be only me. It's only me now as I start to build, right? I want to get back onto stages and doing other things and, empire, Sabrina, just like you said, right? But I can't get there unless I let a lot of things go. And that's why I let go of my podcast. I was doing collaborative books. I finished my trilogy. That's done now. So I'm closing a lot of levels. I closed one of my boot camps, the financial boot camps, because it's not my ideal client anymore that are going to continue with me. So I have to let go a lot of this stuff to go to the level I'm going to. And I
Yeah.
want to start to travel. Travel is a big part of it. But I want to, so I was like, okay, I can speak and be guest lecturers all over the country or world, right? And that is working and traveling. So I can kind of dovetail that. So I look for those opportunities too, just to dovetail things that I like and try new things.
Yeah. I love what you're talking about here as far as letting go. I think so many times that is one of the biggest issues is we spend so much time
Yeah.
creating things. I was listening to a podcast with Grant Cardone, and he was like, if you're trying to get to the next level and it's like, it seems like it's almost impossible, you can't reach it. Like you're just expanding yourself too too thin. You just can't seem to get to the next level financially. He said a lot of times it's because you're not letting go.
Yeah.
And he says those things that you're letting go of are things that you worked really hard to get and really hard to create. But you have to put them aside. You have to throw them in the trash. You have to let go in order to make room and space for the things that are going to get you to the next level, right? So you're talking about letting go of the podcast, letting go of a curriculum that you were running, a curriculum that you probably worked really hard to create, a curriculum that you probably spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears creating and making and teaching. But in order to expand what you're talking about, the big vision that you're talking about, you have to let some of those things go so that you can then have the room and the space, the capacity to build what's next.
Yeah. And I myself struggled to get to that next level because I held on to stuff. And it was when I made that decision, like, I got to let it all go, that I was able to take that bigger leap, right?
Yeah.
That was a big up level. Like, okay, I can't take that with me. So let's move up. Let's close. I closed divisions of my company that I had opened and loved, right? But they're over now. They were a part of me. So I started this journey 10 years ago, and I feel like I'm at that 10-year mark. Let's just start closing shit down, right? Let's go to this next level. It's, yeah, but you can't take it all with you. And if you're a visionary, you got to keep going towards your vision. And as Benjamin Hardy says in his books, is you got to be your future self now. Right? You've got to make the decisions of, does my future self, is this a good decision for my future self now? Right? Would my future self be proud of what I'm doing now?
I love that. Be your future self now. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
This has been great. I so appreciate this.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Lighting the fire up, and such good information that individuals who are in this world, are looking to get into this world, step into this world, or are in the beginning workings of it.
Yeah.
Just to recognize that there's a process to all of this.
It's a process, but everything is possible. And I think so many times, especially women that were brought up in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have a lot of role models that we have today, right? And of especially women entrepreneurs that were just really going out there and making their mark in the world, really making a difference. It was always, you can't make money doing that, right? So we have all of these limiting beliefs about what's not possible or doing it the way we were taught, or in a lot of masculine energy.
Yeah.
Right. With the grunt and the grind and the, if I just work more hours, I'll make more money. But I feel like this new paradigm shift that has happened since, especially, I think it started around 2012, but definitely since the pandemic, is really about boundless freedom. It's about time. It's about taking ownership for what you do. It's funny, but I tell people, like, I actually don't work a 40-hour work week. Like, I focus hard, but I also do other things that are important for me and my body and my family and other things, right? I watch a Sunday afternoon movie. I take a Sunday afternoon hike, right? So there's things, I have no Zoom days and no computer days and no talking days, because that's what I need to recover and fill my cup back up.
Yeah.
Right. And I just have visionary days where I just do. I just think. That's all I do, is I just think, because I need that space to do it. But you have to allow yourself time in your schedule for that to happen. Right. Absolutely. It's not about the grind. Like, that's the biggest falsehood I've ever heard. Just, just do more, sell more, be more. Like, no. Like, I'm more of, if you just be yourself, people find you and they're attracted to you. 100% of my business is word of mouth. 100%. There are no hard sales. I'm like, you're a hell yes, or you're not working with me. I'm never convincing you to work with me, because when people work to work with me, then you know that they're going to have results, right? They're ready at that moment. But I think everyone's business should be like that. I don't have to convince you.
Yeah, I love that. Very, very cool. I also like how you're talking about how you stopped the podcast. I meet women all the time online, And I think to myself, you should not be podcasting. You should not own a podcast. It's taking you away from what you're supposed to be doing, or it's not even aligned with what you're doing, and it's costing them time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's so strange to me.
It was a lot of time, not even talking about the production costs, right? And then I had to find guests in every season, right? And then it was the thumbnails. Like I have a team that produced the whole thing for me, but it was still time out of my day, right? Or schedule. And I'm like, this is not serving me. I can just go on other people's podcasts. Like this is not
That's what I
serving
tell
me at all,
everybody. I'm
right?
like, anyone who's like, oh, I want to start. I'm like, do not start a podcast. Just
No.
get onto other people's podcasts. It's way easier.
Yeah. There's great podcasts out there. I don't
Yeah.
have to do it. I don't want to host it anymore. I did 9 seasons. I met amazing people, but I was done. And I tell you, that was one of I struggled with that. I didn't struggle with the trilogy when I was done doing that. I will still write books, but they'll all be solo books. The podcast was something I just loved. Like I loved it, but I was like, this is stupid. Like this doesn't serve me in a way. I was like, if I was being paid a large salary to do it or something, but I'm not, right? Like this is just taking away from how I can help others in my own brilliance.
And it really does for a lot of people. It just takes away. It's
agreed.
So interesting to me when I see the way people's businesses, and I'll even ask people like, what is the point of the podcast? Like, why do you have I'll ask people.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, it's fun. I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's taking you away from your work.
Totally.
Yeah. But I think being an entrepreneur, like I say, there's no grind and all of that, but there is an essence of like showing up. You have to show up. Like you get up, like I get up and get dressed for work every day. Right. And I go to my office. It's in my house. Right. At the end of the day, I close my office and I leave. And then I go put on sweatpants just like I came home from the office.
Yeah.
Right. I don't meet friends for lunch or do all of that stuff or hang out and get drunk all weekend and then have a hangover Monday morning. Like I don't do that stuff. Like it's all about, can I be my best self when I'm working?
Love that.
Right. It's a choice that I make every single day. And I think that is important when you're building a business. Your business is the choice that you are making. And sometimes you have to give up things to have that success.
Absolutely.
In a good way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad.
Great. Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal. I so appreciate you being here, hanging out with us. As we're kind of closing up here, and we have a ton of people watching live, as far as individuals who are really resonating with you, they're really appreciating what you're saying, who should be reaching out to you? Who do you help?
So I always say logically brained but soul-led micro entrepreneurs. So if you make less than 5 million, which is most of us, and you can even still be in a corporate job, but it doesn't make your heart sing, and you just like, okay, I know I'm meant for bigger things, and that is always the key. I'm meant for something else, something bigger. Or you want to bring your gifts to the world, but you don't know how. Maybe you don't even know what your uniqueness is in the world. We all have it. Doesn't mean that you've learned what it was. And you're ready for that boundless freedom, or even just to talk about it. I'm always happy just to kind of brainstorm, learn more. But if something's resonating, then that's that little tickle, right? Of what's over here? Maybe I should think about this. Or if you won the lottery today, what would you do tomorrow? And if it's quit your job, you're thinking different things.
There you go. I love it. Well, this has been amazing. I thank you so much for being here, hanging out with us. For those of you listening live on the replay, Camille Miller is found at soulprofessional.com. Where do you hang out on social media? Facebook?
LinkedIn. I do have a Facebook, but really my main place is LinkedIn. If people want to connect there, they can connect there. Yeah.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
The world needs your gifts. So let's bring them to the world. I say, I love saying what a soul professional is, since it's our brand. It's someone who lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. So if that sounds like you, reach out.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Camille, for being here, hanging out with us. Those of you that are still watching live, thank you for staying with us to the very end. Make sure you follow, like, and share. That brings us to an end of yet another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for inspiring us today. And once again, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way.